dislike healthcare. I think that we all need it, and I think that it's our duty to make sure that we help out our brothers and sisters and neighbors and communities when they need help. So that's not the issue. What I dislike is that Congress has mandated the people of New Mexico to purchase a service under the threat of a tax. And in over 226 years, it's never happened in the United States for a reason. And that's because our Constitution does not allow it. And when the words on the Constitution don't mean anything, what good is having a Constitution? The founders and the framers of our country said that we need less government, and government can't control the state's rights and the people's rights. And so that's my problem with this. So I will, in fact, join a lawsuit with the other 20 state attorneys general to stand up for New Mexicans and say, this isn't about healthcare, this is about the precedent that this is setting and what's going to happen next. What's Congress going to mandate the people to do next? And it's a dangerous road that we're going down. I think the overall answer to that is to make sure that the consequences of corruption outweigh the benefits of corruption. So to say for a specific plan is when we find evidence of corruption, whether it's in the governor's office or whether it's in county offices, the attorney general has to be able to go in there and not only know how to indict, but know how to make sure that the evidence is properly collected and is collected in a manner that it can be presented to a jury to sustain a conviction of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And so specific examples of that, I mean, we have been able to do that. I'm the only candidate in this race that has ever prosecuted a case in district court or higher. And you have to understand how to handle these cases. More importantly, you have to be willing to admit there's a problem. And my opponent is failing to admit, he won't even admit that there's a problem, which the Albuquerque Journal pointed out. That until you take the blinders off and say we have a problem, you can't fix the problem. And so specific examples I would say is that we just have to start making sure that we hold people accountable and that it becomes known throughout the state that if you are entrusted by the public to represent the people and you violate that trust by committing a crime, you are going to pay for it and the consequences are going to be severe. And when that happens, people think twice about stealing from the people. My reaction to this is that my opponent has never, ever prosecuted a drug trafficking case. He has never, ever prosecuted a member of the cartel. He's never prosecuted a case. He's a career politician. One of the things that I have said is that I'm not going to spend my resources traveling the world. I'm not going to be a globetrotter as my opponent is. My opponent has visited over 12 countries in the last 3 years on the state's attorney general's resources. And in the economic times that we're in, I believe resources need to be focused on corruption. I believe protecting New Mexicans. My thought is that we clean up our own backyard before we start trying to clean up Mexico, the Republic of Mexico. If we're out of problems in New Mexico, then we can start going and training other prosecutors. But listen, as the district attorney and the vice president of the Association of the District Attorneys throughout the state of New Mexico, our own prosecutors are begging for help and begging for training. And we need to do that. Yeah, you know, I'm not in this to see the world. I'm in this to protect New Mexicans. I think Senate Bill 1070 in Arizona has created some serious problems. It's a drastic measure that was put in place due to drastic times. And each state has their own problems. I think New Mexico specifically needs more boots on the ground. I've walked on different parts of the border over the last 6 months. I've met with people that are living on the border, and there are some major legitimate concerns, whether it's lack of protection because you don't have cell phone coverage on the border, whether it's increased medical insurance rates because of the fact that they're paying so much to provide medical attention to illegal immigrants that are trying to come across the border and then they get sick or they get hurt. There's a lot of different areas that we need to focus on, but we need to have someone that can catch the attention of the federal government and say that we need more boots on the ground. We need more technology, but studies show that with more boots on the ground, when I say that I mean more officers working the border, then this stops, because people are afraid to come across when there's resistance, and I think that'll help us out. The medical marijuana issue has been obviously a major argument from many different sides, and it comes from many different points. I understand the argument to legalize marijuana in the sense of medicinal purposes, but I don't agree with it because it's in conflict with federal law. And right now, the federal law says that you cannot possess marijuana because it's a controlled substance. It's a narcotic, pardon me. So, as long as there's that conflict out there, I'm